Hey folks, my name is Kalayaan Mendoza. My pronouns are he or they, them. I am your protest safety kuya. I'm also the head of U.S. programs for Nonviolent Peaceforce. We're an international humanitarian protection organization that works alongside communities all over the world, whether it's in South Sudan or South Brooklyn, to keep themselves and each other safe from state and non-state actor violence. Today, I'm just going to be going over what's in my bag, as they do, for protest. And this is specifically for the work that I do and my team and my organization does on the ground. As a third-party group, we're not activists, but we're there to ensure that human rights defenders and the protection of civic space happens, that the law enforcement facilitates the fundamental human rights of everyone involved. I'm going to just really do an overview, but very succinctly, you want to think about, when going to a protest, three things: your survival, your protection, and your comfort. And I'll show those things and how they show up in this in my bag here. And most of this, it can fit right into a little hiking bag, and most folks will more than likely not need this, but it's better to be prepared rather than not. So in terms of survival, I always carry a first aid kit with me, a very basic first aid kit. So it includes everything from wound care. So I have, some basic hydrocolloid Band-Aids. I also have any medication that I might need. We usually carry an extra asthma inhaler. There's been actions where folks have forgotten their asthma inhalers or didn't think that they would need it, and then tear gas or pepper spray was deployed. So it's really important that you think about, what do you need to stay safe in this situation? I also carry what's called Sudocon wipes, which are it's used by law enforcement to do decontamination. So I basically carry what I need to be safe, but also if someone gets hit by pepper balls or might get hit by a baton round, what are some of the basics that they would need as well? I also always carry electrolytes. Electrolytes and water are very valuable. I'm not sponsored, but Element, if you want to sponsor. And we'll always carry menstrual items, both pads and tampons. I've been on protective actions with folks that have forgotten there, so it's always good, just always have this on you. You really want to think about what your specific needs are, and when you're looking at an action, what are some potential threats that might arise? Because not every action is going to have the same threat level or the same risks. For instance, if you're going to a candlelight vigil, it's going to be very different than a community defense action in front of an ICE building. So really think about what's most appropriate for you in that situation, so you're not carrying like a ton of stuff that you end up not using. Especially if you're going as a protester, you want to just make sure to keep everything light. So in terms of survival, those are some of the basic things. Always remember to bring some snacks as well. I tend to just bring extra for folks, especially folks that might be diabetic or might have low glucose at an action. And you can usually clock them by, whether they're affected by heat, or they'll usually come up to us and ask us, hey, do you have any candy or snacks? And we always try to pack that. So that, along with water, I always carry my trusty water bottle with me. It's vacuum walled, so I can put ice in there. Because when we're out on the ground, we were just in Madison, Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, and we were just out for, I think it was 5 hours, and it was extremely hot, and people were already. We addressed 4 heat-related illnesses in that moment. So always make sure that you're keeping hydrated, and you're not just drinking water, but also you're making sure you have your electrolyte balance. If you don't have electrolytes, you can always just get some table salt, or make sure to eat something salty before going to an action. So survival, basic food, water, medication. And I bring with me a poncho for the weather, but also it works really great when you're at the end of an action, you're at a safe location, maybe at a park, and you need to debrief with your friends, your comrades, or your team. You can lay it out like a picnic blanket and just chill for a minute. But also it functions really well if you have someone that, if you're a street medic or if you're supporting someone, to be able to lay someone down on the ground in the shade if they're exhibiting heat-related stress or any of those kind of injuries. So survival. Next is protection. So we usually bring our, I haven't tested it, but the company says these are stab-proof. We also have a level 3A ballistic inserts that go into the vest, and we only wear those when there is a high likelihood of the use of commonly used munitions, but for the most part, we just wear the vest. And what the vest does is it alerts folks to who we are as with regards to the ecosystem, whether that is state security like law enforcement or whether that's protesters. Since we're a third party, we're not there to protest, we're there to keep people safe. So we need to be very clear about that. And you're going to probably see folks at actions like street medics who are going to have, like the Red Cross or a Red Crescent, or you might see folks from the National Lawyers Guild or other legal observers or human rights observers who will be clearly marked. So we're, as third-party groups, are always clearly marked. So protection. The visibility is really important. Next is having some kind of protection from tear gas or pepper spray. So basically, I tell everyone to always carry N95 masks. I've tested the Aura 3M N95 masks in Ferguson. I don't think they were called Aura at the time, but basically an N95 mask will give you about 3 to 7 minutes, depending on how saturated an area is with tear gas or pepper spray, to find your folks and to get out of there, because you need to get out of there. Tear gas, pepper spray. There's a new green gas that's being used. That's, I believe, zinc-based. I haven't come into contact with it or experienced it, but I know that activists in Portland have been exposed weeks ago and are still feeling the effects. So it's really important that you have some of these basic items. So having something to shield your eyes and your face. This is a full face respirator from 3M with P100 filters, and these filters filter out both particulate matter, but most importantly, anything that is oil-based or solvents. So you want to think about your protection. So I usually carry a helmet, but because my hair always looks so good and it's always done up, it like bounces baton rounds off of it. I'm just kidding. But the Chinese government could not keep my hair down when in 2008. So that's my special power. But when you're thinking about protection as well, you want to make sure that you have what you need in order to get yourself out of the situation. So just some basics. Always carry some N95s with you. If you have, even wearing glasses is really important. Don't wear contacts. The reason being is tear gas or pepper spray can get underneath contacts. And glasses will also afford you another level of protection if munitions are used against you. Another part of the protection kind of like bucket is also, just having some decontamination tools with you. So I always carry saline solution. If you don't have saline solution, clean water works just fine. If you get hit by tear gas or pepper spray, you basically want to move from the inside out. If you're supporting someone else, that's a whole other segment, so I might talk about that later. But basically, you just want to make sure to decontaminate. You start off with the hands first, and then you do the face, and you basically work on down. When you get home, you want to take a cold shower. Use Dawn or another detergent, and you want to keep on taking as many cold showers as possible to get that poison off you and off your system. I think it's just really important to have some of the basics, especially if there's been a pattern of behavior by law enforcement in terms of using certain types of commonly used munitions like tear gas or pepper spray. So along with the protection is we always have our comms with us. So we'll use a different protocol for each of the actions. Most times we're on our signal. Sometimes we may be on signal, and we'll have our walkies. Other times we may be on signal, walkies, a mesh network, using like an app like Bridgeify, which basically connects folks within a small area. If you've been to like a concert or outdoor festival, those are really great. So things that you have for a protest also works great in real life. So we're in a horrible economy, no reason to buy stuff that you don't need. So always make sure things are double duty. So along with that, you want to think about the protection of your identity. I tell folks to always wear masks at actions. We're still in a pandemic, and we're being actively surveilled. So it's really important that folks just make sure to cover up their face as much as possible. I love to use a KF94 mask myself, and when make sure that you're always like covering up any identifying features like a tattoo or anything else, especially if you're at an action where there is a heightened level of state repression. Along with that, I've been encouraging folks to carry Faraday bags. Faraday bags are specially designed bags that either have like copper or some other type of EMF blocking material in it. So I toss my phone in there, or other folks' phones, in order to make sure that my GPS isn't being tracked. I'm not being listened in on. And you might be wondering, oh my gosh, this sounds really paranoid. Yep, welcome to America 2025, baby. It's really important for us to look at the likely level of risks to us as well. So if you're, you might say, oh, I'm just like an everyday person and I have nothing to hide. I would say, give me your phone. Unlock your phone, give me your phone. Most folks would be like, no, I don't want to do that. Exactly. Why would you hand your phone over to the state either? Why would you want to hand over your information or data to the state as well? So when you think about protection, you want to think about bodily protection, so eyes, head, making sure to mask up, that you have some communications protocol, but also we talk about ancestral technologies in our work. Specifically, how do you keep yourself cool, calm, collected, and connected when you're pushed outside of your window of tolerance, when there's a ton of chaos around you? I've been in situations where we've been shot at. We don't know who shot at us. We've been in situations where we've been beaten, I don't mean to laugh, but beaten down by dozens of Chinese military, plainclothes police, and Olympic security. And it took 3 of them to take me down, baby. Yeah, so just make sure that you have what is appropriate for your specific needs around protection. Everyone will have very different needs. So there's what you need to survive, what you need to protect yourself, and then lastly around comfort. So I always try to make sure to bring, my Korean skincare, but as a 50-year-old, I like to, use some basic skincare, because if you're going to be out on the ground for a long amount of time, the last thing you want to do is to get a sunburn or to get sunsick from being out in action. I always carry Japanese cooling cloths, and they have like menthol, and they kind of give you the illusion of being cooler. I find that it's really helpful for me, because I'm going through gay menopause right now, apparently, to be able to kind of like cool down and have something that helps to regulate not just like my body temperature, but also regulate my emotions and like my responses. I'll also have Yadom from Thailand. This is a herbal inhaler. It's like Vicks, but I love it. It's another thing that can help support you in your comfort, in getting you regulated, but also if you've been hit by tear gas or pepper spray, it'll help to just kind of open up your passageway so you can evacuate those poisons. So, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff on the table, but when you think about what to bring at a protest, one, you want to do kind of an assessment, like what's going to pop off. how likely is it that things are going to turn into, a tear gas saturated war zone. So you want to do kind of like an assessment, or basic risk assessment. Then you want to think about, what do I need to be on the ground for more than 12 hours? Like, if you're going to be there, you may, if you, knock on wood, get arrested, get detained, what do you need in order to make sure that you don't get, you don't get further harmed? So that's one of the reasons that I always carry pads with me as well. For folks that menstruate, I always tell folks to bring pads rather than tampons, because you don't want to get toxic shock syndrome. This happened back in the late 90s when it was for one of the World Trade Organization protests, where they basically brought a bunch of activists into a warehouse. Then they didn't give them access to a restroom or really any privacy. So you want to think about, what do you need to sustain yourself for at least 24 hours on the ground. And a lot of this can also be utilized in a disaster preparedness response and preparation type of way. What we talk about at Nonviolent Peace Forces, we prepare, we don't panic. When we're able to take care of ourselves, that's when we're most able to take care of others. If we are a vulnerability to ourselves, or a vulnerability to the community. So by preparation, by doing some basic, auditing, what do I have in my home that covers survival, that covers protection, and that covers comfort, you're kind of at your first step in keeping yourself and others safe. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe.